So this seeking self, I have the impression that it it just manifests itself all the time, just peeking up, and then it's there, and then it's busy running around. Of course, when I sit down, then there's something else happening, and I can get to terms with it, or I can recognize it. But in daily life, it very often it just goes off, and I fail to realize that at the right time, and then it's already running, and then it's really hard to stop because it's become like like automatic. So is there any kind of idea how to realize or recognize easier when it starts running?
Yes, it kind of takes on a life of its own, doesn't it? Yes. Well, first of all, that is one of the practical reasons of doing what you are doing now, which is a kind of a retreat. In other words, an intense, in a sense, it's artificial. We are separating ourselves from our daily life, workaday world, and so on. But the value of it is then to have a chance, hours, perhaps even days or weeks, to just give ourselves to this. And as you know, Bernhard, you have done many retreats. Often the first day or so, it can be quite difficult because it's almost like that other stuff, all of these thoughts and ideas and intentions, they sometimes seem to increase, don't they, in the beginning, But by practicing properly, returning to this body, this breath, this mind right here, as you know from your experience, right, Bernhard? Within a day or two, that stuff starts to just dissolve of its own accord. If we try to fight it, this can just create more problems. That's one example of what I meant when practicing wrongly, we can actually increase the confusion. So, as almost all of you know, by giving ourselves to the practice, in time you can start to confirm for yourself, yes, I don't have to even really get rid of them. They just kind of dissolve of their own. If I stop feeding them, if I stop going there, giving them fuel, soon enough, they start to dissolve. Like a virus, they can't continue on their own unless we give them a place. So that is the value of sustained practice and also living a life in accord with this. Does that help, Bernhard?
In a way, yes, but I was thinking if there's any way to earlier recognize the start of running around outside of the retreat, you know?
What I would say is, rather than do that, by having a focus that keeps you there in the first place, like an anchor or like a magnet. This is the value of sitting, or of course also a koan, you see? If it's something that's really alive and burning for you, what is this? Who is this? What is at the bottom of this? I really must, in this life, know immediately and directly, who is this? If I don't know that, I don't know anything. When this kind of a natural koan, or it can be a given koan. But when it starts to really work in us, you see how that can be what you are talking about, Bernhard. It's not that well, I would say that is what keeps you from wandering off. If that is really alive and burning for you, you see, there is no space or place to wander off. Do you see what I mean? It's something that must be resolved when we open up to it. Huh? A good example is an emergency. Have you ever been in a real crisis situation, where come across an accident in the road, for example, and you have to act? Some people may go into shock and they cannot function, but most of us are able to respond immediately, to see what needs to be done, get a flare or something from out of the back of the car and put it up, move the person away out of the road, something like that. We're able to do that. Do you follow, Bernhard? And what is going on there? Do you see? Perfectly natural. All of that stuff in our mind that you are now talking about, right? Where does it go in an emergency, Bernhard? Do you push it away? It's gone. It's gone. There's that person lying there on the road, right? Well, maybe I wonder what's for dinner. There's just this, what must be done. So you see, in a sense, you already have the ability to do what you're talking about. You understand? But when the mind indulges, well, yeah, we'll go on forever. That's right. So please don't wait for an emergency crisis situation. It's right here and now. You see, that's how we practice. That's how we practice. There is nothing else. When that's clear, the way is clear, I assure you. Do you want to say anything else, Bernhard?
I also have a question, Jeff. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make clear if I understood you right. The deep need to practice, the deep need to sit,
yes,
is already an expression of the deep ground of life itself. Asking the question, what is my treasure, is already kind of an expression or manifestation of what you call being without self?
Yes, and perhaps the point of that exchange at the end about the treasure, with Baso or Matsu, is the point. The point is the one seeking is what is sought. You do already have it. The question is whether it's fully realized, manifest. Do you follow? You don't need another thing. You don't need another thing. If there's anything you need, it's simply to fully live, as you would put it, to fully live it, to fully manifest it in body, breath, and mind. But you don't need to attain something, to get something. You follow?
Yes.
All I would add is now simply realize that with every bone in your body. Does that help, Birgit?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your question.
Jeff, can I ask, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can I ask something about the Sangha? You didn't talk about the Sangha in your talk, but in your introduction, as you usually do, you said how important it was for us to be here together and encourage each other.
Yes.
And then all the things you were recommending in your talk were things we do as individuals. Can you say something about how I can best be open to encouragement from the Sangha and how I can best contribute to others' well-being?
Yes, it's a delicate question because in a sense, during a retreat, we are focusing in a way on our own practice. The focus is in sustained Zazen meditation. We're not engaging in conversations and discussing things so much. We're sitting, that's the basis. And yet, when we really give ourselves like that, there's a profound intimacy, a connection. It's not simply in the words or even in the physical closeness. In this sense, we don't have it now, virtual. And yet, the very fact that you're bringing up that question with and for everyone is already the work of the Sangha, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your question, of course, is a very important one because the question of how do we work together. But during a retreat, in a way, the focus is, in a way, on our own practice. We're not looking to encourage the other person, at least not in a conscious way. But I would say, in your sitting itself, in your question itself, Sangha is being encouraged.
Yes.
So I wouldn't worry too much about it. When the retreat is over, your question becomes more important. Do you follow?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Yes. So please don't forget it. But for now, just dive into this, and you will see when you dive into this, the Sangha is there with you.